Greetings everyone, I'm Krystan AlecSandra-Bray with the Ormus Temple, and I'm coming to you today to share with you some of the experiences that have been coming up for me as I've been going through the Jivan Mukti Vrata, the process, the 21-day process that we've hooked up with through the Ormus Temple to share with Paramahansa Nithyananda and the Life Bliss organization. And believe me, the insights, the revelations, the evidence of this program working in my life have been flowing. So I'd like to take a moment to share some of my experiences with you. The one I want to talk to you about right now actually happened last night. That was after day one of the morning meditation routine, including the bath, including the cathartic breathing, including the intense humming, so on and so forth. And then of course I went through the day. I didn't follow everything. For example, I didn't dress all in white. My diet wasn't exactly as it should have been. Some things like that. So, but as I've been stressing with all of you, to do at least a portion of this program is better than doing nothing at all, because the program is intense and it is going to have results for you. Of course, the first thing to do whenever we're trying to move into a stage of growth is to look at what we have, to embrace what we have, and then to look at methods and employ methods of releasing what's obstructing us from our growth. That is the process known as unclutching, releasing. I call it forgiving. And of course, if you know me, you know I'm not talking about tolerating injustices, but rather giving up something first to create the space for what we want, according to our desire, according to what we want to do in our growth. So that is what this cathartic breathing, the intense humming, the Guru mantra is all about, is the unclutching process, and then also the revelation, the reinstating, the restructuring process that goes along with that. So last night I was talking to a friend of mine on the telephone, and he was bringing some very valuable points up to me. I must say, I have to thank him for that if he happens to be watching this video. And back to the point, I happened to catch a glimpse of something just outside of my window that looked like a very bright star, about the size of a large star that we would see in the heavens. Not a star represented just outside my window, but if we were looking up into the heavens, the size of what we would see from Earth as a large star just outside my window. And it actually caught my attention, and I tried to avoid it. I figured, well, it's cold outside, there's condensation outside, most certainly that's probably just condensation glistening out of the window. I had my lights on in the room, by the way, and it was dark outside, so I figured that may obstruct what I was seeing. And I tried to go on with my conversation, and I found this this vision outside my window kept commanding my attention, kept drawing me back to it. So I became really interested in it, and while I was talking, I went over to the window, because I was maybe about 10-12 feet away and getting a view of this. I went to the window, and as I got close, I considered, well, maybe the light in the room, the dark outside, maybe it was obstructing that view. So I looked closely right through the window, and here's this beautiful star sitting on a tiny branch, you know, that was extending from a larger branch and extending from a trunk that goes to a tree that's outside my window. So I'm looking at this and I'm figuring, okay, what's that? And I started to get the feeling it was actually watching me. So I was really very intrigued by it, and I looked at it, and the more I looked at it, the more it seemed to just branch out into this multi-dimensional expression of a star. It was just like a diamond, a finely cut diamond with many facets to it. And the more I looked at it, the more colors burst from it. It started out as a bright white star, and as I continued to look at it, I saw colors of reds and blues and purple, all the colors that you'd see started to emanate from this star, and the points started to get even more defined. And no matter what angle I looked at this point of what I thought was condensation on the tree, it continued to portray this form of a star. So I was telling my friend about what I was watching, and I decided, hey, I'm going to take a picture of it and share it. And I realized I couldn't take a picture of it without getting off the phone, so I decided to hang up and take a picture. My friend's like, yeah, take a picture. And as soon as I hung the phone up and went back with the intention of taking a picture, the star started to fade. And the more I looked at it, the more I prepared myself to take a picture, the more it faded. So I got the impression that it didn't want me to take its picture, and I didn't want it to fade. So I started to say to it, stick with me, I promise I won't take a picture. But it was as though the star knew that if it stayed there, eventually I was going to take that picture. So it just continued to fade. And so I lost the star. I thought about that as I went to sleep last night, and during my meditation process this morning, what came to me was the revelation that it was probably condensation. And I remembered Dr. Emoto's experiment with water, with the water molecule, and the sound effect on the water molecule. The water molecule, of course, would burst into these wonderful hexagon shapes as it was taking on the vibration of the sound that it was exposed to. And I began to realize that what I was seeing was the effects of all the sounding that I had been taking into my being throughout the course of the day. The meditation that I did in the beginning, and of course I practiced Tantra, so in the process of the mantras, with that sound was vibrating from me and vibrating through the extension of me out into the universe to my surroundings around me, including the effect on the condensation on that tree. So I began to pick up on that notion. And as I went on today, and I actually picked up the I Ching after my meditation, and what came up for me there had to do with trust. And I realized some things were coming up in me pertaining to trust issues, being able to trust others, but even more than that, being able to trust me, to be able to determine when I could, how far I could trust someone else. Now keep in mind, I'm constantly focusing in on the idea that there's only one of us here. So everything starting from within the core of this being for me and my perceptions, and gets colored by the engrams that I've developed as the result of my experience in my life, including all the educations, the miseducations, the lack of educations, the traumas, the good times, the bad times. All of these things repeated in me create engrams that then affect my perception of my reality. But there's also a collective reality that we're tapping into that's influencing these things. And that gets influenced by our internal individual reality. So there's a marriage of that. And of course, that's what yoga is all about. The marrying of the two, the blending, the weaving together is what yoga means. So I'm realizing this in the process of everything that's coming to me throughout the process of my experience with this Jivan Mukti Vrata. Needless to say, it is just exceptional, and I hope that some of you are going through this process too, at least to some extent, and that you have some things that you can share, things that you're noticing both internally and externally, because they work together and you can get a sense of validation. So right now I'm seeing the evidence, number one, of the sound vibration working in me, through me, and collectively. And of course, as those frequencies heighten, that means that the consciousness associated with that energy frequency as it heightens is heightening. So as my awareness is increasing, even that particular condensation, the frequency that it experienced, to transform it to this star-like quality, the consciousness in that star-like quality was heightened. So I'm looking at heightened perception of consciousness in me and reflecting back to me, around me. My external experience being a direct reflection of my internal condition. So that's just one of many of the things that I have to share with you. And if you're interested in hearing more, click on another video and I'll share it with you. Thank you for being with me, and let me hear from you. Krystan AlecSandra-Bray with the Ormus Temple, signing off. Peace.